This is Nisreen's Art World. In this podcast, I will share my thoughts about different art forms such as films, books, paintings, performing art, etc. Hello, this is Nisreen. Welcome to the 8th episode of my podcast. It's lovely to speak to you again. Today, I'd love to talk about an art form very important to me, feminist manga. I'd like to introduce 3 feminist manga that deserve more international recognition. If you don't read Japanese, please let me apologize first. None of the 3 manga has English translation as of now. But I wanted to introduce Japanese manga that have true social and artistic value, regardless of the language. I am also hoping I can encourage the publishers to translate these great works by spreading the word about them. There won't be any spoilers, so please don't worry even if you haven't read the works. The first one is Hino Ryosen or Scarlet Ridge by Kayono Saeki. This work was serialized from 1986 to 1999 and won the 23rd Japan Manga Artist Society Excellence Award. The work is set in Tokyo in the Showa period from the 1930s to 1980s. It depicts the whole life of the strong-willed heroine Toko and supporting characters who survived the turbulent times before and after the Second World War. There's a strong vibe in the thrilling human drama of a Japanese girl with the wind. I find its interpretation of the Showa period excellent. It sensitively depicts the great suffering and poverty Japanese people, especially women and children, had to endure due to the war. At the same time, the conflict's ironically positive impact on women in Japan is also captured. For example, in the post-war period, there's a scene where Toko participates in a ballroom dance party held by American expats to make business connections. She's impressed by how American women drink and chat and socialize just as their husbands do. In Japan at the time, it was a norm for women to stay away from business and socializing scenes unless they were geisha. Toko tells herself, quote, "I am frustrated by our loss at war, but it's also true that American cultural influence will allow us to go out and learn more. Japan will change. Our lifestyle and mindset will change. By analyzing those changes, we can decide where to head with our business." Unquote. This depiction of mixed feelings and excitement about societal change come across as truthful. It so happens that the story covers the period when women were first allowed to participate in national politics in Japan in 1946. Having said that, I can also imagine many feminists today will find this manga not very empowering due to Toko's seemingly unlimited ability to tolerate abusive actions by her spouse, Kengo. The moral standards of the period are of course different to today's. I also questioned countless times why she doesn't just leave her husband. However, I didn't think the author was praising gender disparity. On the contrary, I felt the quiet fury brimming from pages. The manga simply didn't sugarcoat the historical struggles of women, and it highlighted immense resilience and kindness in the female characters with respect. My second recommendation is Barairo no Seisen, or The Battle of the Roses by Yukari Koyama. It was serialized from 2009 to 2017. It is a dramatic success story of a 30-year-old homemaker, Makoto, who has two little kids. Like many other busy mothers, she spends all her time looking after family, but spends no time on herself. One day, she finds out that her successful banker husband, Atsushi, has been cheating on her with a younger woman. What's particularly messed up is that woman is the fiancée of Atsushi's younger colleague. According to Atsushi, his boss had told him to chaperone his younger colleagues, but supporting the soon-to-be bride amidst the stressful time leading up to the wedding led him close to her. Worse, he asks Makoto to keep it secret. He even insists Makoto should attend the wedding with him as the matchmaker's wife. Makoto, of course, is infuriated. But in the end, she ends up giving in to Atsushi's begging that he can't let his boss down and attends the cursed wedding. I know, I am trying hard not to swear right now. However, this humiliating experience leads her to a new life. She appears at the wedding with a determination to show her pride as a wife. Her confidence stands out. Her beauty overwhelms even the duplicitous bride. Atsushi's colleague, who worked as a photographer on the day, notices her charisma and tells her that she has something special. This encourages her to start a rocky journey to becoming a fashion model. It begins with her intention to prove that she is an attractive, independent woman to her husband. In the end, though, she continues because of a genuine passion about fashion. I have to admit that this manga feels a bit like a soap opera. Despite coming from the later 2000s, it also comes across as more retro. For example, I thought Makoto's husband, Atsushi's macho attitude, was a bit extreme. He openly keeps making demeaning comments on Makoto's career and looks, and loudly insists looking after kids is a mother's job. He even makes her give up on modeling at one point for the sake of, quote, a man's pride, unquote. Sure, sexism like this is still alive and well. But nowadays, I feel like it is expressed in a more subtle, passive-aggressive way, especially if the man is a sophisticated businessman in a big city. In a way, Atsushi does a great job both in irritating readers and motivating Makoto by these irredeemable behaviors. Beyond just being a personal story, this story is an emotional roller coaster in the cutthroat model industry. I love how Makoto is a genuinely good person and cares about her kids and female friends the entire time. I don't enjoy it too much when a success story becomes about meanness. If you enjoy manga such as Pride by Yukari Ichijo or Glass Mask by Suzue Miuchi, I'm pretty sure you'll appreciate the Battle of the Roses as well. Last but not least is Aries no Otometachi or Aries Maidens by Machiko Satonaka. The thumbnail to this episode is my fanart about this manga. It was serialized from 1973 to 1975. A popular TV series based on the manga also was aired in the 1980s. The story is about the two teenage girls, Emiko Kubo and Romi Yuki, and their journey to find true love. They both come across very differently. Romi is confident and defiant, whereas Emiko comes across as shy and innocent. This work stands out for its truthful depiction of challenges that come with romances. I know romance, especially heterosexual romance, is not the most beloved theme in feminist entertainment today. However, the way this story poses questions around romantic love is very philosophical and unconventional. For example, is love about ego or compassion? Is it unacceptable to love multiple people simultaneously? The story even ponders, why is it unnatural if a girl loves another girl? Given this was written in the 1970s, there were some parts that might strike modern readers as insensitive, such as when it is implied that a female character's feelings for another female character is just a typical lesbian phase. However, later, one of the characters makes classmates shut up when they make homophobic remarks. She clearly states that there is no rule about loving a person regardless of their gender. The tone in this scene is also dead serious. You can tell the author means every word said. You may have no idea how groundbreaking this was at the time. Seriously, it deserves awards just for making this simple observation about lesbianism. I also don't have the first-hand experience of the 1970s, but I can say even in the 1990s and 2000s, when I was a child, it was extremely rare to see such a clear anti-homophobic move in the mainstream manga, especially if it's not a fantasy such as Sailor Moon or an idealized male gay romance set in the West, such as New York, New York. For those of you surprised by this, consider that Kojin, the best known Japanese dictionary used to define the word homosexuality as, quote, abnormal sexual desire, unquote, until 1991. Even today, in 2024, same-sex marriage is not legal on the national level in Japan. The author Machiko Satonaka has spoken about some of her intentions in writing the story. In an interview for women's magazine Fujin Koron in 2024, she spoke about being criticized for depicting a teenage girl getting pregnant in the manga. She explained that it was her attempt to focus on the risks that come with romances. She says, freedom of dating for women was trending at the time without proper sex ed, and as a result, many young women ended up being hurt in silence. She cared enough about women to draw attention to the risks they run in dating men, even in a society that accepts certain elements of female agency. I believe this author's humanity and the philosophical intelligence make the old-fashioned manga stand the test of time. So, there you go. 3 feminist manga I definitely think you should read if you want to get a picture of what the art form can really do. It also will help readers understand how it feels to be a Japanese woman, both now and in the past. What did you think? I'd be delighted if you write a review of this podcast on Apple Podcasts or rating on Spotify. It would be lovely if you share this episode on social media as well. And of course, you are more than welcome to let me know your thoughts about this topic from the contact form in the description. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye for now.